The night was silent on the far colony world. The sky was filled with two moons, and the land stretched out empty like a forgotten desert. Commander Ethan walked slowly through the dusty streets of the small human settlement. He was a traveler, a soldier once, now only a man searching for peace. Yet in this lonely place he found something he never expected, something that would change his heart and his fate. Children ran past him, laughing, but one small girl stopped. She stood in front of him with big, bright eyes. Her clothes were simple, her shoes worn, but her gaze was steady. She looked no older than 8, and yet her words struck deeper than any blade. She said, "Are you lonesome? Then marry my mom." "She's the kindest." Ethan froze. The world seemed to pause. He had faced battles. He had seen planets burn, but never had a child spoken to him like that. Her voice was not shy, not playful. It was calm and honest, like she knew his heart was empty. Ethan looked down at her, trying to smile, but inside his chest he felt a strange pull. Who was this girl, and why would she say such words to a stranger? Around them, people glanced and whispered. The colony was small. Everyone knew each other, so when a new face appeared, they noticed. Ethan could feel their eyes on him, but he could not look away from the girl. "Your mom?" Ethan said slowly. "Why would you say that about her?" The girl tilted her head, her hair falling across her face. "Because you look sad. And Mom is kind. She helps everyone, but she is lonely too." The words were too heavy for such a young child, yet she spoke them as if they were simple truth, and Ethan felt the ground shift beneath his feet. He followed her through the colony streets. The houses were built of metal and stone, patched with scraps from old ships. Lights flickered weakly, and the air carried the hum of hidden machines. Ethan noticed wires stretched across the roofs, antennas pointing at the sky, as if the whole colony was listening for something far away. He felt uneasy. The shadows between the buildings moved strangely, as if alive. The girl's small hand pointed toward a modest home at the edge of the colony. "This is where we live," she said, her voice soft now. Almost like a secret, Ethan hesitated. He had no reason to step inside, no reason to meet this mother. Yet his feet carried him forward. He knocked gently, and the door opened. A woman stood before him. Tall, graceful, her eyes warm but tired. She wore a white coat stained with the marks of work. In her hands she held tools, the kind used for research, not for farming. She looked at Ethan with surprise, then at her daughter. "Who is this?" she asked. The girl smiled. "Mom, this is the man I told you about. He is lonesome. You can help him." The woman's eyes widened for a moment, then softened. "I am Dr. Leora," she said. Her voice calm and kind. Ethan introduced himself, his voice steady, though inside he was unsettled. This family was unusual, and he wanted to know more. They sat together inside. The home was simple but filled with strange plants glowing faintly. Their leaves shimmered with colors not found on Earth. Ethan asked about them. Leora explained they were alien species, collected for study. "I work with medicine," she said. "These plants may heal diseases, or they may hold dangers we do not yet understand." Ethan listened, and he saw how her hands moved gently over the leaves, like a mother protecting her children. But in the corners of the room he noticed small devices, metallic orbs that clicked and whirred. They seemed to watch him, though Leora did not mention them. When he asked about her husband, silence filled the air. Her eyes lowered. The girl whispered, "Dad went to the stars, but he didn't come back." Ethan felt a chill. He wanted to ask more, but the weight in their voices told him the truth was painful. That night Ethan returned to the small inn where he stayed, but his thoughts were restless. He remembered the girl's words, her innocent request, her mother's quiet sadness, and the strange machines that seemed alive. The colony itself felt like a place holding secrets. Its people were friendly on the surface, yet their whispers carried fear. Ethan could not shake the feeling that something unseen was watching every step he took. As he lay on the narrow bed, staring at the ceiling, he heard faint sounds outside, a soft hum. Like voices carried on the wind, he stepped out into the night and saw shadows move across the rooftops, wires glowing faintly as if energy flowed through them, connecting every house, every machine, to something far beyond. The sky shimmered for a moment, and Ethan thought he saw lights among the stars blink in patterns, like eyes staring back. He felt a strange pull in his chest again, not fear, but curiosity mixed with destiny. The girl's innocent question echoed in his mind. "Are you lonesome?" Yes, he was, more than he wanted to admit. But why did this family, this colony, feel like the answer to his loneliness? And why did the air around them feel alive with a hidden power? The night grew colder. Ethan returned inside, yet sleep did not come. He knew his journey was no longer his own. He had walked into a mystery deeper than any battlefield, a mystery that began with a child's simple words, words that would lead him to secrets of stars, machines, and hearts. The story of loneliness was no longer his alone. It was about to become something much greater. The morning sun rose slowly over the colony. 2 moons faded behind the clouds, and the dusty streets glowed with golden light. Commander Ethan walked again toward the small house where the girl had led him the night before, his mind restless, his heart curious. He had traveled across many worlds, but never had he felt a pull like this, the pull of words spoken by a child, words that seemed too wise for her age. When he reached the house, he saw the little girl waiting at the doorway, her bright eyes filled with trust. She smiled as if she already knew he would return. "Mom is inside," she said softly. Ethan stepped in, and once more he was surrounded by the strange plants, their leaves glowing faintly with soft colors. The air smelled sweet, almost alive. The walls hummed with quiet energy. He could not tell if it was the plants or the hidden machines he had noticed before. Dr. Leora appeared, wearing her white coat, her hands covered in dust from her work. She looked at Ethan, a small smile on her lips, but her eyes heavy with tiredness. "I did not expect you back so soon," she said. Ethan nodded. "Your daughter has a way of asking questions that are hard to ignore." Leora glanced at the girl, who stood proudly, as if she had done something important. Then Leora motioned for Ethan to sit. They shared tea made from one of the glowing plants. The liquid shimmered faintly in the cup. Ethan hesitated before drinking, but the taste was warm and calming, almost too calming, like it touched not only the tongue but the mind itself. He asked Leora how she had found such plants. She explained that her husband had been an explorer. He had searched the valleys and mountains of the alien world, always bringing back specimens. He believed these plants carried knowledge, she said, knowledge written in their light. Her voice softened when she spoke of him, and Ethan could feel the ache of loss beneath her calm tone. The girl climbed onto her mother's lap, resting her head against Leora's chest. "Dad said the stars were listening to him," she whispered. Ethan felt his skin prickle. Those words were not the simple imagination of a child. There was weight in them, a memory too real to ignore. Leora stroked her daughter's hair and whispered, "Enough, child," but her eyes betrayed worry. Ethan wanted to ask what had happened to the man, but the silence in the room was heavy, and the machines around them seemed to click louder, almost warning him not to speak. Later, Leora showed him her work. She led him into a small lab behind the house, the walls lined with shelves of glowing jars, each holding samples of plants, dust, or crystals from the land. In the center stood a table where a broken device rested. Ethan recognized the metal as alien. Its design too smooth, too advanced for human hands. Its edges glowed faintly as if alive. "This was the last thing my husband brought back," Leora said quietly. "He believed it was a gift, or a warning." Ethan leaned closer. The device hummed softly, and when his fingers brushed against it, he felt a surge of heat in his veins. His vision flickered with lights. For a moment he thought he saw stars swirl before his eyes. He pulled back quickly, his breath unsteady. Leora watched him closely. "You felt it, didn't you?" she asked. Ethan nodded, but said nothing. The colony outside seemed peaceful, but Ethan began to notice the cracks. People avoided Leora. When he walked beside her in the market, whispers followed. Some looked at her with pity, others with fear. A man muttered under his breath, "The cursed widow." Another woman pulled her child away when the little girl tried to greet her. Ethan frowned. "Why do they treat you like this?" he asked. Leora sighed. "They believe I brought misfortune. My husband vanished after finding that device, and since then machines in the colony have acted strangely. Lights flicker. Tools move on their own. They think it is me. They do not see the truth." That night, Ethan stayed longer. The girl insisted he join their dinner. The food was simple, but the laughter of the child filled the small house with warmth. Ethan realized how empty his own life had been. The girl's innocent chatter, Leora's calm voice, even the strange glow of the plants all felt more alive than the silence of his travels. But beneath the warmth, Ethan felt the shadow of something watching. The metallic orbs in the corners turned slowly, their lenses glinting in the dim light, recording every movement. As the girl went to sleep, she whispered to Ethan before closing her eyes, "You won't leave, right? Because Mom is lonely, and you are too." Her words struck deep again. Ethan could not answer, his throat tight. He only placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. The child smiled and drifted into dreams. When Ethan stepped outside into the cool night, the colony was quiet, too quiet, the streets empty, but the wires above him glowed faintly, carrying pulses of light like veins in the sky. The same hum returned deep and low. He turned his gaze upward, and for a heartbeat he saw something beyond the stars. Shapes of metal or shadows of machines. Moving where no human eye should see, Ethan clenched his fists. He had come to this world as a wanderer, with no ties, no promises, yet already he felt himself bound, tied by the words of a child, the kindness of a woman, and the mystery of a vanished man. He did not know if the colony feared the right thing, or if they were blind to a danger greater than themselves, but he knew this. He could not walk away now. Something had begun, and his life would never be the same. The colony looked normal during the day. Children played in the streets. Workers fixed machines. Traders shouted in the market. But Ethan could not shake the feeling that something unseen watched from the shadows. Everywhere he went, wires hummed faintly. Metallic orbs turned silently, and the air carried a whisper too soft for most ears. He was a soldier once, trained to notice danger, and his instincts told him this place held secrets. At night, the silence grew heavier. Ethan walked near the edge of the settlement, where sand met rock. He stopped when he heard soft laughter. He turned, and the little girl was there, her eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight. She ran to him with excitement, holding a small box made of alien metal. "Dad gave me this before he left," she said. Her voice proud, Ethan knelt down, taking the box gently. Its surface shimmered with strange lines, symbols that pulsed like veins of light. "What is it?" Ethan asked. The girl shrugged. "He said it will open when the stars call me." Her words made Ethan uneasy. A child speaking of stars as if they were alive, as if they whispered to her. He wanted to ask more, but the girl's face turned serious. "Sometimes I hear him," she whispered. "When I close my eyes, I hear Dad calling me, like he is far away but near too." Ethan felt the chill of her words. He looked around, and for a moment he thought he saw movement in the distance, shadows shifting against the rocks later that night. Ethan returned to Leora's house. He found her in the lab, studying the broken alien device again. The glow from its edges lit her face. She looked tired, but her eyes burned with determination. Ethan told her about the box the girl had shown him. Leora nodded. He gave it to her before his final journey. "I do not know what it holds, but I know it is not simple." Her voice carried both fear and hope. Ethan leaned closer. "You believe he is still alive, don't you?" Leora looked away, silent for a long time, then whispered, "Sometimes I do. Sometimes I fear he has become something else." The machines in the room clicked suddenly. One orb turned and faced Ethan directly, its red lens glowing brighter than before. He narrowed his eyes. "These things, they are not just tools." "Are they?" Leora hesitated, then admitted. "They were found with the device. They turn on by themselves. No one controls them. I tried to shut them down, but each time they power back. Sometimes I feel like they are listening." Ethan's jaw tightened. He had seen battlefields where enemy drones watched silently before striking. The memory pressed against him. The next morning, Ethan walked through the colony, listening to the whispers of the people. Some avoided his eyes, others muttered, "The widow has trapped another." A few men approached him. "Their faces hard," one said coldly. "Leave her, stranger. Nothing good comes from staying near her. Machines break, people vanish. Don't make her curse your fate too." Ethan stood tall, his voice steady. "I do not believe in curses," the men sneered. One spat on the ground. "Then you are a fool." They turned and left, but Ethan knew their eyes would keep following him. That evening, the girl tugged on Ethan's hand, leading him to the hills outside the colony. "I want to show you something," she said, her small steps quick. Ethan followed, his eyes sharp, ready for danger. They reached a cliff where the land opened wide, stars above shining brighter than ever. The girl pointed to the sky. "See those lights?" Ethan looked. At first he saw only stars, but then he noticed movement, small flickers that pulsed in patterns like signals instead of random light. The girl whispered. "Dad said the stars would answer. One day they will open the path." Ethan's heart pounded. He had seen coded signals before, but never in the sky like this. He felt the same strange pull he had felt when he touched the alien device, as if something wanted to speak through the stars themselves. He placed a hand on the girl's shoulder. "If your father is out there, we will find the truth," she smiled softly. her eyes full of trust when they returned to the colony. The streets were dark, no voices, no laughter, only the hum of wires. Ethan stopped when he saw one of the orbs floating outside Leora's home. Moving on its own, scanning the area with red light, he pulled the girl behind him, but the orb did not attack. It hovered for a moment, then zipped back into the shadows. Ethan's chest tightened. These machines were not random. They were part of something larger, something waiting. That night, Ethan sat in the small guest room Leora had offered. He could not sleep. Every creak of the walls, every flicker of the lights made him reach for his old soldier instincts. He watched the girl sleeping peacefully in the next room and Leora working late, the glow of the alien device painting her face in silver light. Ethan knew he was standing at the edge of something vast, something he could not yet see. As the moons crossed the sky, Ethan heard it again. Faint, almost like a voice, not from outside, but from deep within his mind. It whispered words he could not understand. But the tone was familiar, like a call from a faraway battlefield. He closed his eyes, trying to shut it out, but the voice grew clearer. It was not his imagination. It was real. Ethan opened his eyes, staring at the ceiling. He realized now that this was no simple colony, no simple family. The girl's strange words, the broken device, the glowing plants, the floating machines, all were pieces of a puzzle too large for him to ignore. He had come here as a wanderer, but fate had tied him to them, and the stars themselves seemed ready to reveal a truth that would change everything. The nights were never quiet in the colony. Even when the people slept, the wires hummed, the orbs clicked, and the air seemed heavy with an unseen breath. Ethan knew something moved beneath the surface, something watching, something waiting. The little girl's words stayed in his heart, her innocent trust guiding his steps, and slowly Leora began to trust him too one evening, as the moons glowed high above. Leora asked Ethan to follow her. She carried a lantern, its soft light guiding them through the narrow corridors of her home. She stopped before a door he had not seen before. It was hidden behind shelves stacked with glowing jars. She moved the shelves aside, and the door opened with a hiss. Cold air swept out, carrying the scent of metal and earth. "You must see this," she whispered, her voice tense but steady. They stepped inside, and Ethan's eyes widened. Beneath her home was a secret chamber, a lab built in the dark, its walls lined with cables and glass tubes. Faint lights flickered across consoles, half human, half alien. Strange symbols glowed across the walls. Pulsing like veins of light, in the center of the chamber stood a platform, and on it rested the broken alien device, larger here, connected to wires that ran deep into the floor. Ethan walked closer, his steps careful. The device pulsed faintly, each glow matching the rhythm of his own heartbeat. He reached out, but Leora's hand stopped him. "Be careful, it is not just metal, it remembers," she said, her eyes fixed on the strange curves of the machine. "My husband found it in the mountains beyond the valley. He said it spoke to him not with words but with visions. He believed it could connect the human mind to something greater." Ethan felt the air grow colder as she spoke. "What happened to him?" Ethan asked quietly. Leora lowered her eyes. "He disappeared the night the machine woke fully. He touched it, and the next moment he was gone. The colony says he is dead. They whisper that I am cursed. But my daughter dreams of him. She hears his voice calling. How can I tell her it is not real, when I too sometimes hear echoes?" Ethan studied the machine, its smooth edges gleaming in the lantern light. It seemed almost alive, breathing slowly. He remembered the faint voice he had heard in his own head. Could it be the same? Could the girl truly hear her father from beyond the stars? Leora led him deeper into the lab, showing shelves filled with her husband's journals, pages filled with drawings of stars, maps of unknown systems and strange equations. Some pages showed human figures merging with light. Others showed machines rising among stars. "He believed we were never alone," Leora whispered. "He believed there are minds greater than ours, waiting for us to listen." Ethan felt a shiver. The pages looked more like warnings than discoveries. The little girl entered quietly, her small feet barely making a sound. She carried the box her father had given her and placed it beside the device. For a moment the machine pulsed brighter, the air thick with energy. The girl smiled. "He knows you are here," she whispered to Ethan, her voice calm. Ethan looked at her in silence. Her trust was unshakable, and her words struck him deeper than any weapon ever had. Suddenly the walls of the lab trembled, the orbs above them lit with red light. Spinning faster, clicking louder, one dropped from the ceiling. Scanning Ethan's face, he stepped back. his hand instinctively reaching for a weapon he no longer carried. But the orb did not attack, it simply hovered, then turned toward the device as if guarding it. Leora frowned. They grow restless when strangers come near. Sometimes I think they serve the machine itself. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Machines serving machines, that is never good. They shut the lab door and returned to the main room. But Ethan's mind was heavy. He could not forget the glow, the whispers, the way the girl seemed tied to the machine. He sat quietly while Leora prepared food, the girl humming softly, the home warm with simple life. Yet beneath it all a secret lab pulsed with alien power. That night Ethan could not sleep. He heard the hum from below, louder now. Like a heartbeat beneath the floor, he stepped quietly to the lab door, opened it just a crack and looked down. The device glowed brighter. Shadows moved around it, though no one was there. And for a moment Ethan thought he saw a figure standing on the platform. Tall, made of light and shadow. Reaching out toward him, he blinked and it was gone. Only the machine remained, pulsing steadily. He closed the door and leaned against the wall. His breath sharp. Was it a vision, or was Leora right? Was her husband truly reaching out through the stars? The girl's words returned to him. Dad said the stars were listening. Ethan clenched his fists. His soldier's mind wanted to dismiss it as illusion, but his heart whispered something else. Something he had not felt in years. Hope mixed with fear. The next morning, colony leaders came to him. Men with stern faces, their eyes cold. You should leave, one of them said firmly. This woman and her machines will drag you into ruin, others before you have tried to help her. And they vanished too. Ethan looked at them calmly. His voice strong. I am not afraid. But inside he wondered, what if they were right? What if he was already caught in something too deep to escape as the leaders left? The girl slipped her small hand into Ethan's, looking up at him with steady eyes. Don't go, please, she said. You're not afraid like the others, you believe us. Ethan looked at her, at Leora standing silently behind, and he knew. Whatever curse the colony spoke of, it was not these two. It was the truth they were hiding from that evening. Ethan returned once more to the secret lab. He placed his hand on the device despite Leora's warning. And again the surge of light filled his veins. Visions of stars rushed through his mind, endless galaxies, machines moving among them, and a voice, faint but growing clearer, a man's voice. Help them. Protect them. Ethan gasped, pulling his hand back, his heart racing. Leora stared at him with wide eyes. What did you see? She asked. Ethan whispered. He is still out there. The colony was restless. Whispers spread faster than wind. People avoided Leora's house. Some pointed when Ethan passed. Others lowered their heads. Fear lived in their eyes. Fear of things they did not understand. Ethan had seen fear before. On battlefields and cities under siege, it always came before something worse, and he could feel the storm gathering here. That night he sat with Leora and her daughter, the home glowing softly from the plants. Warmth filled the small space, yet Ethan felt the weight of eyes outside, unseen but present. They want you gone, Leora said quietly, her hands resting on the table. The leaders believe you will bring disaster if you stay. They say the machine is already awake again because of you. Ethan shook his head. They fear what they cannot control, but fear will not stop the truth. Leora looked at him, her eyes searching, as if she wanted to believe, but fear still lingered in her heart. The girl tugged at Ethan's sleeve, her small voice breaking the silence. I dreamed again, she whispered. Dad was calling me louder this time. He said the stars are opening. He said not to be afraid. Her words chilled the room. Ethan leaned closer. What else did he say? The girl shook her head. Only that I must listen and that you would understand. Ethan froze. Her words struck him deeply. How could she know what he had seen? What he had heard later that night? Ethan returned to the secret lab. The broken alien device pulsed stronger than before, the glow filling the chamber with shifting shadows when he touched it. Visions consumed him, stars swirling like rivers, machines drifting among them, vast structures alive with energy, and a figure, distant but clear, reaching toward him. The voice echoed again. Protect them, they will come for her. Ethan pulled his hand away, gasping, sweat on his forehead. The machine's hum vibrated through the floor, louder than ever. The colony itself began to change. Tools moved on their own. Lights flickered without reason. Machines started working without human touch. One farmer shouted in fear when his plow moved as if guided by invisible hands. Another screamed that the shadows whispered his name. Leaders gathered in the square, demanding action. The widow has cursed us, one shouted. Her machine has brought spirits upon us, another cried. If we do nothing, we are all doomed. Ethan stood beside Leora as the crowd grew louder. The leaders pointed at him. You have brought this curse back to life. Leave now before the colony falls. Their voices shook with anger. The crowd roared. Ethan raised his hand, his voice firm. This is not a curse, this is something greater. Something beyond your fear, you cannot destroy it by turning away. But his words only deepened their rage. Rocks were thrown, shouts filled the air. Leora pulled her daughter close, shielding her. Ethan stood tall, but he knew the danger was rising that evening. Soldiers of the colony came to the house, their weapons charged, their faces grim. We are ordered to shut it down, the captain said, his voice cold. The device must be destroyed. The woman and her child taken away. Ethan stepped forward, blocking the door, his voice sharp. You will not touch them. The captain sneered. You cannot stop us, stranger. Ethan's eyes burned. Try me. Before the soldiers could move, the ground shook, a deep hum filled the air. The device below the house roared to life. Lights blasted through the cracks in the floor. The soldiers staggered, their weapons flickering. One shouted, It's alive. The machines around the colony awakened. Orbs swarming into the air, their red lights burning, scanning. Moving as if defending something, the crowd outside screamed. Panic spreading like fire inside the house. The girl clutched Ethan's hand, her voice trembling but strong. He's here. Dad is here. Ethan looked at her, then at Leora, who stood frozen, eyes wide with shock. The hum grew louder, filling every corner. The device pulsed like a beating heart. Ethan could feel it in his chest, in his blood, in his very thoughts. Vision struck him again, faster, stronger. Machines rising, stars burning. Human voices lost in endless voids. And the same man's voice calling. Clearer now. They will try to silence her. Protect her, she is the key. Ethan staggered but forced himself to stand tall. He looked at Leora. Your husband is not gone, he is part of this. And they will come for your daughter. Her face turned pale. Her lips trembled. But she nodded slowly as if some part of her had always known. The soldiers fled in terror as the orbs swirled above. The crowd scattered, shouting of curses and doom. Ethan held his ground, protecting the house, protecting the family. He had fought wars, faced death, but never had he felt a mission like this. This was not a battle for land or power. It was for something greater, something tied to the stars themselves that night. When the colony grew quiet again, Ethan sat with Leora and the girl, the device below still glowing softly. The girl leaned against him, her small voice calm. You believe me now, don't you? Ethan nodded slowly. Yes, I believe you, and I will not let them take you. Leora looked at him, tears in her eyes. You do not know what you are stepping into. Ethan met her gaze, his voice steady. I know enough, I will fight for you, for her, no matter what comes. Outside, the stars shimmered strangely, lights blinking in patterns across the sky, as if answering the call of the machine. The colony slept in fear, but Ethan did not. He stood at the window, watching, waiting, knowing the real danger had only just begun. The rising threat was no longer whispers, it was here, and it was watching them all. The colony lived in fear after that night. The people locked their doors, machines moved without touch, wires glowed faintly even in daylight. The leaders blamed Leora. They blamed the device. But Ethan knew the truth was deeper. The machine was not evil, it was speaking, and it carried the echo of a man who had vanished but was not gone. Ethan spent his nights in the secret lab, his hand often brushing the cold surface of the device. Each time visions filled him, stars twisting, voices whispering, machines drifting across endless skies, and always the same voice, a man's voice, calling with pain yet filled with purpose. Protect them, she is the key. Do not let them silence her, Ethan knew then. This was Leora's husband, the father of the little girl, trapped yet alive in a way no human should be. One evening, Leora entered the lab, her face pale, her hands shaking. She held a journal, its cover worn, the pages inside filled with symbols and words. I never showed this to anyone, she said, her voice trembling. It was the last book he wrote before he vanished. Ethan opened it and his eyes scanned the lines. The words told of experiments, of voices in the dark, of machines that were not built but grown. They are not our enemies, the words read. They are waiting for us to evolve. They are searching for minds strong enough to join them. Ethan closed the book slowly, his chest heavy. Leora sat beside him, her voice breaking. I wanted to believe he was dead. It was easier, but the signs, the visions, the way our daughter hears him, I cannot deny it anymore. He is still out there, somewhere between man and machine. Her eyes filled with tears. But if that is true, then what has he become? Ethan placed a hand on hers. Steady, whatever he has become, his love for you and your daughter is still alive. That is why he speaks, why he calls through the machine. That night, the girl woke suddenly from sleep. She walked to the lab, her small steps soft, her eyes half closed, yet her voice clear. He is here, she whispered. She touched the device with her hand and the machine flared with light. The room filled with a low hum that shook the walls. The orbs spun wildly, red turning to gold. Ethan shielded his eyes, and when he looked again, the girl stood calmly, a faint glow surrounding her, her voice steady. He wants to speak. Ethan and Leora watched as the machine projected an image, faint at first, then clearer. A figure of light tall, shaped like a man, yet woven with strands of metal and stars. The girl smiled through her glow. Dad, she said softly. The figure turned, his voice echoing like wind across the skies. My child, my love. Leora covered her mouth. Tears falling, Ethan stood frozen, his heart pounding. He had seen soldiers fall. He had seen worlds burn, but nothing compared to this. A man torn from flesh, yet alive in light. The figure spoke, his voice breaking through static. I am not dead, I was taken, merged. The machine opened a path, I am part of it now. Part of a network that stretches across stars. I cannot return fully. My body is gone, but my mind, my soul remains. I reached for you, for her, because she is the only one who can anchor me. Her voice cuts through the silence. She is the bridge. The girl reached toward the figure, her small hand glowing. Ethan felt the air tremble. Leora fell to her knees, whispering, Why? Why did you do this? The figure looked at her, his glowing face soft. I wanted to give us hope. I thought I could control it, but the machine was stronger. It bound me, yet I do not regret, because through me I have seen the war coming. A war between men and machines. I have seen it across galaxies, and I know she will be needed. She is the key to peace. Ethan stepped forward, his voice steady though his chest shook. The colony will never accept this. They fear what they cannot see. They will come for her, for all of you. What do we do? The figure's eyes glowed brighter. Protect them, Ethan, that is why you are here. Not by chance, but by design. You carry the strength I no longer have. And she carries the voice that will change everything. The light flickered. The figure began to fade. The girl cried out, No! Don't go. But the voice echoed one last time. I will always be with you in the stars, in the light. Protect her. Protect her. And then he was gone. The lab silent once more, the machine dim but still pulsing faintly. The girl wept softly and Leora held her close, whispering through tears, He is not gone. He is with us still. Ethan stood silent, his fists tight. He had his orders now, not from generals, not from leaders, but from a man lost to the stars. The next day, the colony grew louder with anger. Leaders called for destruction. Soldiers prepared to storm the house. Whispers filled the air. The widow speaks with ghosts. Her child is cursed. The stranger is cursed too. But Ethan was no longer just a wanderer. He stood ready, his heart clear. He would protect them no matter the cost. That night, as the stars blinked in strange patterns above, Ethan sat outside the house, his weapon ready, his eyes sharp. He felt the weight of destiny pressing on his shoulders. He was only a man, yet he was chosen to stand between fear and hope, between machines and men, between a child and a world that wanted to silence her. The truth was revealed, and it was heavier than he imagined. A man turned into light, a child bound to the stars, and a mother torn between love and fear. Ethan knew the hardest battles were not the ones fought with weapons, but the ones fought with belief, and the war had already begun. The colony no longer whispered. It shouted. Fear had turned into rage. The leaders declared that Leora and her daughter must be taken, the machine destroyed. The people gathered with weapons, their eyes filled with panic. They did not care about truth. They only wanted the fear to end. Ethan stood at the doorway of the house, calm but ready, his heart steady. He had fought wars before, but this battle was different. This battle was for family, for love, for hope itself inside. Leora held her daughter close. The girl's eyes glowed faintly. She whispered, Dad is with us, he will not leave. He told me not to be afraid. Her small voice carried strength, a strength greater than any army. Leora looked at Ethan. her face pale. They will come, they will not stop. What can we do? Ethan turned, his voice low but firm. We do what he asked, we protect her. No matter what. The first stone struck the house, windows shattered. Voices screamed outside, burn the curse. Burn the machine. Soldiers marched forward, their weapons charged. But before they could strike, the ground trembled. The hidden device roared to life. Golden light burst through the cracks. Orbs filled the air, not red now but white. Spinning like guardians, their hum louder than the shouts of the crowd. The people froze, fear choking their voices. Ethan stepped out, the glow of the machine behind him. His voice thundered across the square. This is not a curse. This is not death, it is life, it is hope. But you are blind with fear. You would destroy the only truth that can save you. The leaders shouted back. Lies, the widow poisoned you. The machine twists your mind, but their voices shook, their courage slipping. The girl walked outside, small, fragile, yet glowing with a calm light. The crowd gasped. Silence fell. She looked at them with steady eyes. My father is not dead. He is in the stars, he is watching, he wants peace, not war. But you are afraid? Her voice was not loud, yet it carried. The device behind her pulsed with each word. Amplifying her, the air itself seemed to listen. The crowd trembled. Some dropped their weapons, others wept. But the leaders would not bend. They ordered the soldiers to fire. Ethan moved fast, standing before the girl. His arms spread, his voice sharp. You will not harm her. The weapons charged, glowing hot, the air tense. But before a shot could fall, the sky itself changed. Stars blinked in strange patterns. Lights moved across the heavens. A vast shape appeared. Not ship, not cloud, but something alive. Something watching. The colony froze. Their weapons lowering slowly, awe breaking through fear. The girl raised her hand. The golden box her father had given her glowed. Opening at last, light poured out and a figure appeared. The father once more tall and bright. Woven with stars and machine, his voice echoed across the colony. You feared me, you cursed her. But I was never gone, I am here, I am part of the stars. And she is the bridge to peace. If you destroy her, you destroy yourselves. The people fell to their knees. Silence heavy. The leaders tried to speak, but their voices cracked. The father's light burned brighter. You cannot stop what is coming. The war will spread. But this child carries the key to hope. Protect her. Protect her. The image flickered, then faded, but the message remained, carved into the hearts of all who saw. The crowd slowly dispersed, broken by what they had witnessed, fear giving way to awe. Some still whispered curses, but many wept. Realizing they had been blind, Ethan stood tall, his body tense, his eyes sharp, ready for battle. But no attack came, only silence. The colony had seen too much to strike again. That night, Ethan sat with Leora and her daughter under the stars, the house still glowing faintly from the machine below. The girl leaned against him, her voice soft. You will stay, won't you? Ethan looked at her, then at Leora, who watched quietly, her eyes filled with both fear and love. He nodded. Yes, I will stay, I will protect you, both of you. As long as I live, the girl smiled, her small hand gripping his tightly. Leora's voice trembled. You do not have to do this. You owe us nothing. Ethan shook his head. You are wrong, I owe you everything. Because for the first time I am not wandering. I am not lonesome. I have found something worth fighting for. His voice softened. Your daughter was right, she saw me. She knew my heart before I did. Leora's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. The first true smile he had seen on her face. The stars shimmered above. Blinking in strange patterns once more, Ethan looked up. His chest heavy but calm, he whispered, I will not fail you. Whether he spoke to the father among the stars, or to the girl beside him, even he did not know. But the promise was real, stronger than steel. The colony would never forget what they had seen. Some would still fear, some would still whisper. But Ethan did not care. He had chosen his path. He had chosen his family, a mother, a daughter, and a father made of light. Together they were bound, not by blood alone, but by destiny. And so the story of loneliness ended, not in silence, but in love. A child's simple words had changed the fate of a man, a family, and perhaps one day, the fate of all mankind. Ethan had come as a wanderer, a soldier with no home, but he stayed as something greater, a protector, a father, and a bridge to the stars.